This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
All right, everybody, welcome to the WWE Podcast. It's Tuesday. It is June 25th, 2024. Believe it or not, we are almost into July, and I feel like I'm saying this every week, but we got a PLE in a week. Next Saturday is another PLE, but we're going to get to some preview and prediction shows next week. But before we get there, a lot of news, and it's not just about Raw. There were some stories coming out of Raw that were, in some cases, bigger than Raw. And, well, let's see, three in particular. Before we get to Raw, which, by the way, was an interesting show, hot crowd, and Indianapolis has a hell of a lot of wrestling coming its way over the next couple of years. Roman Reigns' dad has passed away, and at the age of 79. So, it's, by some people's standards, that's old, but it's still a relatively full life. And this is according to USA Today. I mean, you can look at all the other outlets too, but this is saying that USA Today has said that he died peacefully on June 25th today, and his name Sika Anoa'i. There we go, Sika Anoa'i. And WWE even posted their own post on X and said that they're sad to learn the passing of one of the Wild Samoans. I'm not sure what kind of illness he had. I'm still trying to dig that up. I don't know what exactly was wrong, if he was battling a multi-year long illness, if it was somewhat sudden. So I'm not sure what the actual issues were, but nonetheless, it is certainly sad to see, and losing a loved one, especially when it's in your immediate family, is always tough. And probably for the best that Roman is not currently back in wrestling, giving him some time to mourn, some time to heal, get his head right, and come back. Now I know he is slated to come back very soon. In the next probably few weeks to month is what I've been hearing. And so maybe this delays things. Maybe it doesn't, I'm not sure. But if things were to happen, it's, good, I think, to happen when you're already off and you're not on the road, and, you can kind of spend time with your family and that kind of thing. So, certainly sad, and condolences. Not that it really means much coming from here, but, sad. Another passing, and that is the reason that Pat McAfee was not on Raw as one half of the commentary team with Michael Cole. And you'd be thinking to yourself, well, Indianapolis, home of Pat McAfee, where the hell is he? Well, his father-in-law passed away. And from what I gather from Pat McAfee's statement, the father-in-law had an infection. They said he'll be good, he'll be out, no problem, because they identified what it was. And then he's in Indianapolis when this is happening. His father-in-law was in Indianapolis, and then things took a turn for the worse. And he got a text from his wife saying, you got to come to the hospital, and that's that. I mean, so as suddenly as that happened, which was unexpected. So, that makes it even worse, when things are unexpectedly, tragic. It makes it kind of double shocking to the system. At least there's some solace in knowing if you see a long-term illness that it's going to end that way. But when you think everything's good, you're going to be out by the end of the weekend, and then you just don't go home at all. Sad. So another kind of tragedy for WWE and its family, and that is with Pat McAfee's father-in-law. And from what I understand, Pat McAfee's wife was very close with her father. He described her as kind of a daddy's girl. And so I'm sure a lot of mourning going on, especially with his wife and by proxy him, so sad there too. But to lift spirits, guys, before we get to Raw, we did get news that Raw is coming to Netflix. We got that months ago, but we're getting more details about what the show is going to look like and what it could feel like. And from what I understand, and this is coming from multiple large outlets, this isn't rumor, Raw is going to be 2 hours, commercial free for those on the premium side of Netflix, and starting in January 2025. And most notably to a lot of people, it's going to be uncensored. So the TV PG restrictions are going to be lifted. And I know that has a lot of people excited. A lot of people excited for, the return of the Attitude Era. Good, they can cuss. Good, there can be blood. Good, they can get more risque with their storylines. And they're looking at this as kind of the savior for Raw. I've got some news, all right? Well, this shouldn't be shocking to anybody. First of all, they are already doing all of those things right now and have been somehow under this TV PG umbrella. If you've noticed the cussing, there have been a-hole words not bleeped out in the show. They've dropped tons of cuss words. I mean, look when The Rock came back, for God's sakes. They had to blank out almost everything he said, and some of it snuck through. There's been just a son of a bee has been very, I guess, par for the course. That is never blanked out or buzzed out or anything. And there's been lately a lot of blood comparative to the last several years. So blood has somehow made its way back, which I'm not complaining about, by the way. And now you're getting a little bit more risque storylines, with Liv and Dom and some suggestive things going on there. And shout out to the person, whoever made the Hawk Tua 316 sign on Raw. You the man. For those of you that are like, what the hell is he talking about? Social media has made this girl famous. It was an on-street interview. This is from TikTok. An on-street interview done in Nashville, Tennessee. See those interviews that are done outside of bars after people are already hammered, and they ask them ridiculous questions, knowing they're going to get ridiculous responses, which makes for great TV. That's where this girl came famous. So let me just play some audio. All right, let me play just a 5-second clip here of what the heck I'm talking about, because for those of you that don't know, well, here's where it is.
What's one move in bed that makes a man go crazy every time?
You gotta give him that huck to and spit on that thing. You get me?
All right, so if you know what I'm talking about there, then if that rings a bell with you, then of course but that's like the most viral clip in the world right now, which I don't know if we should be proud of, or we should, kind of look at it, in despair as a kind of a sign of the culture, right? The cultural rot that something like that could make someone famous, maybe a little bit of both, but either way, it has made her famous, and she has really kind of remained under the radar, by the way. She's done a little bit of appearance. She's making some merch, but she hasn't really come out and made any videos or anything else following up to that. But anyway, I don't know how the hell Hawk Tua made it onto the show, but it did because of somebody who made a sign on Raw. So anyway, Netflix is going uncensored. I will say this too. Number one, as I said, they're already doing this stuff. Number two, is this really going to make wrestling better? Does it really make it better to have more cussing just because you can? More blood just because you can? And more maybe suggestive dialogue sexually on Raw just because you can? I would argue no. The reason is, from a business perspective, if I'm running a wrestling company and I'm trying to grow the company, and I want it to reach as wide of an audience as possible, why would I alienate the younger audience, meaning those that need parental permission to watch TV or their phones, as it happens to be these days? You know, if you have younger kids from the age of like 4 to 12 in the household and WWE starts doing this stuff, and you're a parent that actually cares about what your kids are watching, I know some don't, then you're going to say, oh, wow, WWE has really changed. I'm not going to watch this anymore. This isn't allowed in my household anymore. You're really going to be taking a hit on that front, or just hoping parents don't care nowadays, which unfortunately there are a significant number of those floating around too. So, does WWE go that road, or I would say they just stay the course. You know, stay the course here. Things don't, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. To quote an old Jurassic Park line, just because you can doesn't mean you should. It's there if you need it. Yeah, sure. But you got to understand the consequences of foregoing the potential younger audience and the potential market growth of building that next generation. Because here's the thing, and this is the last thing I'll say, and I promise we're going to get to the actual Raw from last night. If I'm building a business and I want generations of fans to continue to watch, and I just suddenly blast my product into the rated R genre, and I go full TV 14 even, then that generation is lost. Those potential consumers and future consumers are now not going to exist because you didn't bring them in when they were young and their parents allowed it and they grew with the product, and now they're older and they have their own kids and their kids are now. Do you see what I'm saying? They're building generations of fans. I know some of you just say, oh, the hell with it, push forward, TV 14, blood and cussing. Isn't this going to be the Attitude Era again? And if you understand how a business works, you're thinking ahead outside of just 2 feet in front of your face, you'd realize it may not be the best strategic decision to potentially alienate or eliminate consumers before they even exist. Also, for those of you talking about the Attitude Era and saying how great it was because of that, I would counter argue by saying, was it really the blood and guts and sexuality that made that great? Or perhaps, just perhaps, it was because of an all-star roster with great creative. Yes, the TV 14 genre allowed more flexibility in what they could do. It allowed Stone Cold Steve Austin to become who he was. It allowed some of the craziest storylines to exist. Absolutely. But I would argue still what makes wrestling great is basic stuff that doesn't require you to go into the gutter of great storytelling, great deep characters, and talent that can execute and are larger than life and have those intangibles. So again, I know some of you, what a prude. Guys, I was a fan and still am a fan of the Attitude Era. I love that stuff, most of it. A lot of it, when you look back, a lot of it was just garbage and it somehow just slipped through because it was such a damn good product back then with great storylines and mega stars that we'll never see again. But I guess my whole point is, I really don't think that they should change much at all. Raw going to 2 hours, though, if that does hold, bring it on, baby. Bring on that 2 hour Raw. Now, from what I've understand too, they're going to counter that with SmackDown going to 3 hours. And that makes sense to me. The reason is ad revenue. They're making a boatload of money from ad revenue. Why would they eliminate the extra hour of ad revenue? I don't know what that equals. Okay. I don't know dollar-wise what an hour of ad revenue on Raw or SmackDown does or doesn't do, but it's significant enough for them to kind of transfer that over to SmackDown instead of Raw. That makes sense. you don't want to lose that ad revenue because, believe it or not, they're in the business of making money. Anyway, I started Raw here, the Raw review, with 3 things that have nothing to do really with last night's Raw. But last night's Raw I thought was good. It felt kind of like a weird show. The show was, kind of hit and miss. Generally, I thought it was, it was fine. I thought it was good. It certainly upped the stakes for a match like Drew and, Damian Priest and Seth Rollins, which I thought had a good promo. And Damian, kind of in a weird way, miss him as champion. I think there's almost no way he remains champion. He is likely going to lose to Seth Rollins at Money in the Bank. And then as Gunther finally showed up, I mean, boy, this guy's got a great schedule. He's already got like a Legends contract schedule where he's showing up, or a Roman Reigns schedule where he's showing up like, once every month or two, putting on a match and then leaving for a while. And it just, there's no way you're doing Damian Priest and Gunther at SummerSlam. It's not happening. Again, the only way that this happens is if somehow they make it a triple threat, which I still would not do either. But the more consequential piece of this, that's a little bit more up for discussion, I think. When Damian Priest loses, and I think he will, where does he go after he leaves the Judgment Day? How does this happen? Where does this, where does he go? I mean, does he kind of float around? And I would think he stays or turns babyface. Maybe the group turns on him. I don't know. Maybe he becomes the leader of another group. I don't know. Maybe he throws himself in the Intercontinental title picture. It's just interesting to me how that's going to work out. Now, in the event Damian retains and Seth says, "Oh, I can never challenge you again," fine. Seth Rollins can do other things too. Seth Rollins doesn't really need the belt either at this point in his career. And when Damian drops it to maybe a Gunther, you could have Seth challenge Gunther and then you're good. So is there a small chance that Damian Priest could retain? Yes. But to me, it makes sense for him not to as we get to SummerSlam and have Gunther versus Seth Rollins. So, we also had Drew McIntyre out there who was taking the bracelet of a fan, or from his I don't know, it was a bracelet that had some sentimental value with his dog on it. His dog got chance, and Drew talked about his stupid dog. I love Drew. God, I love Drew. And he was really symbolizing that bracelet as his, like, CM Punk's family themselves, that he would hold them in his hands and they'd be with him as he took out Punk once he wins Money in the Bank. That I really liked. Also, as I was thinking about it, some very nice symmetry that I didn't look ahead and didn't have the intelligence to look ahead, with Drew being screwed over in Scotland, in Glasgow, Scotland. Punk screwing Drew. Drew returns the favor in Punk's hometown by beating him to a bloody pulp. If I had just looked ahead on the schedule, this was easily foreseeable. But I didn't look ahead and say, oh my God, they're going to Chicago a couple weeks later. Perfect place, right? Very poetic. Very poetic that they did that. It makes sense. No better place to beat somebody up than in their hometown. Just ask Jim Ross, who routinely got his ass kicked in his hometown. Routinely, whether it be by Triple H, I think Jericho did it at one point. Stone Cold Steve Austin did it at one point to try to get people to hate him when he was in that weird heel turn. So, it is a great place. It's a great place to get some heat. So, hey. Anyway, Drew is continuing to be brilliant. There was no Punk. He's selling the injuries. That was nice. Chad Gable, my man, has tried to make amends after he won his match. He tried to make amends with the Alpha Academy and seemed to be sincere after we had Nikki Cross, or whatever name she's going to go by in the Wyatt 6. She dropped off a package for Cole and then scared off Gable which I'm not going to make fun of. It's a little bit theatric, but they sold it well, and I have no issue with it. He then proceeded to go backstage, try to find his former friends in Otis and Tozawa and Maxine, and seemed genuine, but it was all out of fear, realizing the error of his ways. They didn't take him back, though. They did not take him back. However, immediately following their continued rejection, Otis outright rejected Gable. He ran into the Creed brothers. And there we go. Bingo. As we all expected, it was a very short clip, a very brief interaction with the Creed brothers and with Chad, but they are a perfect, at least on paper, a perfect combination here, I think, as many people have speculated. They, I think, are going to gel very nicely. And once Chad has his new group, you have Tozawa and you have Otis and you have Maxine at the ready to try to take his newly formed pupils down. The Alpha Academy 2.0, or however he ends up branding it. And I really, I think that they've got some legs. That whole, I think that whole program that's coming with the Creed brothers against the original Alpha Academy is, and certainly will be, I think, a multi-month program. So, I'm looking at some notes. There was a Larry chant. Oh my God. Eesh. I don't know what it is with people chanting for dogs, and anyway. All right. Let's see. So the whole deal with the VHS tape, first of all, having it be a VHS tape is kind of cool. I really enjoyed the fact that it was a VHS tape. It had a nostalgic feel, or something that it had a special feel. But I mean, seriously, when's the last time anyone even not just owned one, but saw one on TV? You know what I mean? Like anyone holding one for any reason. It should belong in a museum. And the fact that Michael Cole had to essentially tell their audience that for you younger folks, this is a VHS tape. He was essentially having to tell them what it was. I don't think he was doing it as, just kind of a joke. I think he's being serious, trying to tell the kids that this is what this is, because he knows some of the audience actually has no idea what that was. Again, I don't think it was done in tongue in cheek. I think that was a genuine, quick educational moment. Like, hey, this is, for those of you that don't know, this is a VHS tape. Are we that old, guys? Oh, anyway, pretty cool. That's the box that was left at the desk of Cole. And Bo Dallas sat across from Uncle Howdy and said, "I am nobody." And Howdy responded, "There you are." And asked how it felt when his brother died. Dallas said he felt like the most important thing in life was taken away from him, and nothing would ever matter again. Howdy asked Dallas if he was exploiting his brother's legacy. Dallas said that all he ever wanted was to be like his brother. He looked up to him, wanted to be like him. And Dallas said he worked his entire life for the opportunity. He said they finally made it, and they had it, and then it was taken away from him. So this kind of confirms, by the way, that Uncle Howdy was Bo Dallas. For those of us, while Bray Wyatt was alive, was speculating that it was Bo Dallas. This confirms it, which is kind of cool. But Dallas said that no one on earth feels more hurt by the loss, nor what he feels. And he asked what he's supposed to do. He asked if he should let everyone forget what he fought for and what he believed in. Dallas said they wanted to forget, but, quote, "We made them all remember." Howdy responded, "Yes, we did." So Howdy and Dallas were shown seated across from one another at the conclusion of the tape. I enjoyed this. I know that, again, anything that's cinematic or theatric, I know that usually there's a skew towards me not liking it and you're expecting me to hammer it. This seemed genuine because, hey, you know what? It's coming from a genuine place. It's coming from an actual loss, a devastating loss to Bo Dallas. This is real. And real things, generally is the word, come across as authentic because they are. And this story is compelling. There's not a lot of hocus pocus yet, which is good. Now, are Bo Dallas and Uncle Howdy two separate characters, or is this like his alter ego? Is this his schizophrenic personality that he uses to cope with his loss? What is this? Are they actually... I mean, I don't know yet. I hope this, though. While so far I think it's been executed as well as it could and kind of what we expected, and this is my personal preference, I'm hoping that as this goes forward, that this is not a riddle wrapped inside a riddle. Do you know what I mean? Where a lot of Bray Wyatt's style was, you have to unlock the riddle to then find the riddle that I want you to try to solve. You know what I mean? And I understand that he had a great creative mind, almost to his detriment. And Bray Wyatt was absolutely compelling. I think at times he didn't know where the hell he was going, and that showed on TV. But even if the storyline sucked, and even if you didn't have any idea what he was talking about, you still watched. And that was it was a nice deodorizer for a crappy storyline at times. But I hope, for just continuity's sake, for just simplicity's sake, that it is something that most people are able to follow, and it doesn't need you to, crack the Da Vinci Code to understand, or spend an inordinate amount of time, at a library, digging through books, going on a scavenger hunt, getting your decoder in the mail, drinking your Ovaltine. Somebody out there got that joke. To understand what's happening. I shouldn't have to use magic ink or use smoke signals, or pick your analogy. You get my drift. I don't want to have to think too hard. And I know that it sounds like it's just like, oh, you're just low intelligence. You don't want to have to think. You don't want to have to. No, I don't. I don't want to put effort in. You don't want to know why? That's not what this product is about. I know it's at times something that is good, that you reward fans for paying attention over a long period of time. But the majority of fans just want to be able to understand what's happening in the moment, understand where they're maybe headed, and not have to kind of blank their mind out to figure out what's going on. And, frame by frame, is there something hidden here? Is this a code? Is this, another thing I need to figure out? And I hope it's not that. I just, for my own personal taste. Again, this is my personal taste. I don't want it so simple that, it could be aired to preschool children and they would easily understand. Just, there's a nice sweet spot. All right. We know what that sweet spot is with wrestling, and I hope they just kind of follow that. That's just my take, but maybe we'll get some more gobbledygook, as LA Knight once perfectly put it with Bray Wyatt. He was gobbledygook. It was perfect. So anyway, let's continue here. What else did we get? We got a confirmation that Sami Zayn is going to take on, who was it? Who did Sami Zayn say he was going to take on at Money in the Bank? Oh, Braun Breaker. Duh, right? Braun Breaker versus Sami Zayn for the IC title at Money in the Bank. And you know what? I think there's a significant chance that Braun Breaker could win. You don't want to know why? Sami Zayn's run with the IC belt has been underwhelming, to say the least. And I know that WWE, if they were to sit here and try to counter my point, would say, well, you wanted Gunther to drop the belt, or, you wanted Sami to win. I didn't. Chad Gable should have been the guy to take down Gunther. Sami Zayn is champion. For some reason, this run with Sami, it just hasn't worked for me. He's still very good in the ring. His promos are passionate. As I've said, he screams all the time when he's in the ring cutting promos. It's just, he can't help himself but scream. There's just something about it that just isn't doing it for me this time. I don't want Sammy with the belt. It's like he's not doing anything wrong. I don't know what it is. Every time I see him with the Intercontinental title, it just doesn't feel right. And it's not to say, oh, he doesn't deserve it, or he's, that's below him or above him. No. I honestly cannot describe why. I can't put into words what it is about this run with Sammy that I don't like, and I don't want him to be Intercontinental Champion. Again, nothing personal, nothing against his character. It's just something when I see him right now at this moment with the IC belt doesn't feel right and sit right with me. I don't know why. I cannot tell you. Maybe I'm the only one in this boat, but with Sami Zayn right now, it doesn't feel good. I'm ready for a change. I honestly don't even care who he drops it to. And Sami Zayn's, I think a significant part of the roster. I'm not saying he should be fired or moved or No. I just don't want him with the belt. It's as simple as that. And I cannot articulate to you why that is, because I don't know. I don't know the answer. It's just a feeling I have, and I'll figure it out at some point. But Braun Breaker has a significant chance to beat him. And he and Ludwig Kaiser had a heck of a match. Sheamus interfered, returning the favor to Ludwig after Ludwig did the same thing to him when Sheamus was facing Braun Breaker last week. So tit for tat. Sheamus is looking much leaner and meaner and back to kind of his former self, for those that care about such things. And I think that Sheamus and Ludwig Kaiser is going to be a fun program. They could do some kind of triple threat, but right now with Braun Breaker going into a match with Sammy, it seems like Kaiser and Sheamus are in kind of a side feud of their own. So, all right, tag team titles, guys. Let's talk about that. I'm jumping all over the place, but that's how my brain's working tonight. The tag team titles have changed hands. And if you've been following the show, I kind of warned you that they would be the first major title to change hands. Or at least one of the first post-Mania. They're going to have a couple month run, right, at the most, and then they're done. And that's exactly what happened, because there's not much to do with these two. Miz and Truth. It was a feel-good moment at Mania. They held the belts for a couple of months. Defended it a couple times. Truth is a beloved character. I'm glad that he had his opportunity to be tag team champions and win a championship at WrestleMania. That was fun. Miz has done, I think, a nice job as a babyface, although he's been forgotten up until this past week or so. He wasn't very good at commentary this week, and that was surprising. And again, I'm not saying it's an easy transition. It's not. You go from wrestler to commentator in 1 week, and unexpectedly, I think, thrown into it. That makes it difficult. So maybe I'm being a little bit too hard on the Miz, because it was, I think, from what I understand from Pat McAfee's statement, kind of a sudden thing, and they had to throw somebody in there. It wasn't like Miz had weeks to prepare for this, and they had, McAfee's going to be out, Miz, we need to prepare you. Why don't you, do some runs with Cole? And no, it seemed like, hey guys, the show's in an hour. We don't have a color commentator. Pat's out. Death in the family. Miz, can you step up? So Miz got thrown in literally last minute. So I feel for him, even though he's really good on the mic. So I feel for him there. But also, you expect a little bit better from the Miz. He was a little bit over the top at times, stuttering over his words, which you don't ever really see the Miz do. But hey, maybe I'll give him the Miz a pass here. I'm just going to move on because, hey, not an easy job at all. At all. So, but we do have new tag team champions, and it was because Liv got the Judgment Day a tag team title match, trying to warm up to the Judgment Day, still trying to seduce Dom, sending him texts, giving him hugs, and Rey Mysterio and who was it? Zelina Vega. That segment I'll get to in a minute. But the tag team title match was fine. It was really more about them making the change to end the show. New tag team champions. We had actually Liv Morgan be the distracting item, and we see them win. We see Finn Balor and JD McDonough win the tag team titles. And I think that's a good thing. You know, Miz and R-Truth, again, you knew it was short-lived. You knew it was just a feel-good moment. The fans got their moment. R-Truth got his moment. Miz had his moment. And we just moved on, that's all. And now it's time to see how far this can go with Liv. Because whoever thought Liv Morgan would be a centerpiece of Raw for several weeks into months now? How many people, including myself, I never would have guessed this. She has been excellent in this role. The build to Rhea Ripley's return is being done expertly. Same with Roman Reigns' return that I complimented on the Weekend Review show. It is being done expertly. Is expertly or expertly? I don't know. It's being done very well. How about that? It's being done very well. And it seems like Rhea Ripley is slated to return around SummerSlam. And off to the races we go with Liv and Rhea, who said she's coming back for blood. They continue to just poke Rhea every single week. Liv continues to poke Rhea by trying to steal her man. She took her title. She got injured by Liv. I mean, Liv Morgan is going to get her ass kicked. But I don't think right away Rhea Ripley is going to take that belt off of her. I think that there's time. Rhea in chase mode is going to be more fun. And we'll see what happens there. And Dom at that point should be fully with Liv. And how Rhea Ripley responds to Dom completely turning his back on her and going with Liv. And maybe trying to beg mommy for forgiveness is going to be a fun thing to watch. It's going to be fun. But anyway, new tag team champions, and I don't hate it. I don't hate it. All right. So what other things happened? We got women's tag team champions Alba Fire and Isla Dawn versus Caden Carter and Katana Chance in a non-title match. This actually is about double what the normal non-title women's tag team match is, and that's 5.5 minutes, which was pretty impressive. Doubling the time. I'm being half sarcastic here. Crowd was kind of quiet throughout the match. It ended with Alba Fire and Isla Dawn beating Caden Carter, Katana Chance, and that's kind of it. So, but at least again, I want them to show us, and they are, as quiet as some of these matches may be, consistency in the women's tag team division to at least give us the perception that there is a tag team division. And I like this. At least, even though they're giving us kind of an obligatory tag team match, this is what they need to do to convince fans that this tag team title, this tag team championship means anything. All right. What else happened? I talked about Gable. We got Chad Gable versus Braun Strowman versus Bronson Reed in a triple threat qualifier for the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. As you know, I talked about this earlier. Chad Gable wins. And he won with a moonsault on Reed. That was interesting. I have no issue with that, but it was being used as a finish. Chad Gable is just magnificent in the ring. He cut a promo before saying that, I can't, Chad Gable can't be killed. Chad Gable can't die, because a lot of people were talking about how Chad Gable got, he was killed last week. So that was kind of funny, him addressing the fans that, who had been saying he was murdered. Now, Reed hitting a suicide dive in this match, it was crazy, but why? See, this is a thing I've been a bit critical about is, if you're a big man, act like a big man. Don't be a big man and act like a cruiserweight. I understand it's shocking to see someone as big as him do moves that usually guys half his size do. I get that. I get those moments. But then you're just like everyone else. Right? You're just like everyone else with the same movesets. It's nice to not eat the same food all the time, even if it's really good food. You want to change it up. What I mean by that is, it seems to be that everyone has the same moveset other than their finish. And that even the big men try to act like the the lighter guys. And I don't know if it's just the need for a "this is awesome" chant or what it is, but if you're a big man, act like one. Just my take. Now, Strowman did his usual choo-choo, Thomas the Tank Engine train around the ring, which I've said this last week, and I'll continue to say it. The guy, if you're trying to gain speed, running around a squared circle, or really just a square, because that's the shape of a ring, is maybe the worst shape you could run in order to gain speed. You want to gain speed, go straight down the ramp. So him going around the ring, I know that it's his thing he does. It's a signature move. I think it's childish. I'm not a fan of Strowman, as you guys have noted, or I've noted that many times before. But Gable was a shining light in this. Him hitting the German suplex on Reed was crazy. Gable is an absolute delight to watch. He never falters. Gable is a workhorse. And Gable is a shining light of Raw. He just is. But Gable won, so he's in the Money in the Bank ladder match. Again, that's when the Wyatt showed up. We already talked about that. Let's see. We also had the Liv Morgan segment. She comes out and she asked Dom to come to the ring. Zelina Vega comes out. And she says she doesn't know why Morgan is obsessed with Rhea Ripley's sloppy seconds in Dominic Mysterio. Vega said that while Morgan is chasing Dirty D, she's chasing the championship. I mean, she has some good stuff here. These two things could easily be turned into a t-shirt if they already aren't. Rhea's sloppy seconds. Dom is now Dirty D, making reference to obvious things that we know what she meant in a kind of a double meaning here. We know what this is, but very clever. Well done by Vega. And Morgan said nothing means more to her than that championship. And Vega said Morgan acts like she's all about having fun. And Vega said Morgan putting her title on the line sounds like fun. And Vega played to the fans about Morgan defending her title against her during the show. And Morgan said she'd love to, but she was in the middle of something and they could do it next week. Dom comes out. He was booed as always, which can we just stop that? I want to hear what Dom has to say. I really do. Can we stop it? It's just, at this point, it's just a social contagion, meaning like you see other people do it, so you do it, but there's no real like actual emotion behind it that you hate him so much. It feels like it's just doing it to do it because it's trendy. I don't know. I want to hear what the dude has to say. Please. But the mustache and the mullet are just perfect for him. And Dom said he did get Liv's gifts, but he didn't like them. And there was a sloppy seconds chant, which is really funny. Bravo to Indiana here. Indianapolis, my hat's off to you for a sloppy seconds chant. That may be, I believe, the very first sloppy seconds chant I've ever heard, or has been ever chanted in WWE. Can anyone name another time in which sloppy seconds was chanted in wrestling? Maybe there's been a lot of weird stuff in wrestling. I think this may be the first, which made me laugh. How does this not become a t-shirt, by the way? That's got t-shirt written all over it. Same with Dom being Dirty D. That's got marketing slogan all. I mean, come on. That's right there. If it doesn't become a t-shirt, it's a missed opportunity. Vega said that if Morgan was too afraid to fight, she didn't need to bring her man out there to get in the way. And Dom said he's not Morgan's man. And eventually, Liv and Vega get into a scuffle. That's when Rey Mysterio comes out, who pulled Morgan off of Vega. Dom then shoved his father to the mat. And that's when Liv took that as Dom defending her and defending her honor. And, Dom was saying, no, he's just my deadbeat dad. And Liv didn't buy it. So that was kind of a nice moment. Nice moment. Again, I know people are saying that Dom has massive heat. I'm reading this particular review. Is it really still heat on Dom when they boo him, or is it just trendy? There is a difference. Does it, again, you can't tell the difference because it's the same noise. It sounds the same. You're still hearing boos. It just becomes a feeling that you have. But anyway, it's a lot of fun. This is a fun story that I don't want to end right now. A Seth Rollins video package aired, which was interesting. It was kind of like his history of wrestling, his love of wrestling, his return and all that. It was a nice touch for Seth that kind of needed that, I think. It was nice. All right. There's also some weird stuff going on with Liv and with Finn Balor. Remember Finn Balor took Liv's room key, and then Liv got caught coming out of the Judgment Day's locker room or office or VIP or whatever you call it, lounge, and Finn was the only one in there. So there's some shady stuff going on here with Liv and with Finn. And I don't know if there is actually something shady. They're sleeping together, whatever, in storyline. I don't know if I want that. Like, Dom and Liv is where we're at. Again, I've said this a couple weeks ago. Like, I don't really want Finn and Liv to be a thing. It's another side story I don't need. I'm already, this kind of like too many cooks in the kitchen here. Like, let's just focus on one thing. I don't see the need to try to tease that Finn and Liv are the ones actually sleeping together. No one has any interest in that also, by the way. No one wants to see Finn and Liv. There's no chemistry there. It's very cold. It's just kind of this weird thing that's happening right now that may turn into nothing, and I hope it does. But it's just a couple things now have happened where you're just like, I wonder if they're going that road. But anyway, let's see what else happened. Oh, women's triple threat. Lyra Valkyria versus Shayna versus Kairi Sane for a qualifying, or this was to qualify to be a part of the Money in the Bank ladder match for the women. And this ended up being Lyra Valkyria defeating Kairi Sane and Shayna Baszler with a Nightwing on Kairi Sane, and she got the victory at 8.5 minutes. Lyra Valkyria has been pushed pretty quickly since her debut, and Kairi Sane and Shayna Baszler are as cold as you can get, so you kind of knew going in that no one else is really going to win this except Lyra, who has been much hotter and the focal point of creative over the last several months. Well, I don't know if maybe months, but like 6 weeks or so, whatever it's been since she's made her debut. Anyway, Lyra is the logical choice. Now, could Shayna and Kairi still make it in? Yeah, I think are there only 3? I think 3 out of the 6 or 4 out of the 6 are filled for the men and women each. So there is maybe going to be and could be next week's show, a second chance qualifier where all the losers of the triple threat have a triple threat and that person gets in. The men and women could do that. So just because your person that you wanted to win didn't win their triple threat, which is how they're doing all of the qualifiers, maybe they do a second chance. They do that a lot of times, with tournaments and championship matches and battle royals and stuff. Anyway, so all right, I think that might do it. There's other stuff too with Carlito and playing video games in the Judgment Day's locker room and all that stuff, but that's, I think, it. I think that'll do it here for me on the Raw review. And you guys can get this entire show. I know there's a lot of ads throughout the show. You can get the entire show ad-free and get a 7-day free trial for that on Apple or on patreon.com/WWE podcast. If you want to take a sample before you commit to anything, that is available to you if you so choose, because I know the ads aren't fun, but it pays the bills. Okay. And, my Yankees lost to the Mets. This is not good. Not good. And it was Cole, our ace, that was derailed by the Mets. Wonderful. The Yankees are in trouble right now, I have to say. They're in a little bit of trouble. They've lost 2, but the Orioles have lost 5. Now, those of you that don't care about MLB are saying shut up about baseball, but hey, it's my show. Man, the Yankees have kind of cooled off. Over their last 10, they're 3-7. That's bad. And they're also getting their ass kicked by good teams. They beat up on bad teams, but they have trouble beating good teams. And now the Mets, the lonely Mets, are only 1 game under 500 when they were like 10 under 500 just a week or 2 weeks ago. And let's see, the Mets, for those of you that care, again, I'm in the New York market. Obviously, I'm going to talk about the New York teams. If let's see, if the season ended today, the Mets would only be 1 game out of the wild card. They're 2 back in the loss column, but 1 overall. And they're still 13 out in the division. Anyway, man. I'll move on. This is not a baseball podcast, and I know a lot of you don't like baseball, find it very boring, so I'll shut up. But anyway, thanks so much for listening, everybody. If you want to go ad-free, patreon.com is the place to do it, or Apple Podcasts, as I said. And I want to make sure that, because I keep forgetting to do this because I'm a really bad host, there are some new patrons. H-A. Yes, that's a person who actually joined. Has joined. Samuel has joined us over the last day or so. So welcome to yes, H-A. And Jamarcus. I see Jamarcus also became a member of our show. So welcome to Jamarcus as well. So thank you, everybody. And you can join them and get a free shout out on this show if you want to join us over at patreon.com/WWE podcast. Don't forget, follow us on X. It's search the WWE podcast. The actual name is Wrestling Audio, but the name that we've created is the verified WWE podcast name, and you can see us and check us out there. That'll do it for me, everybody. Thanks so much. I'll be back on Friday for your mailbag. So send in your voicemails and questions to me at mailbag@wwepodcast.com. And then I think that'll do it for me. And thanks so much for listening, everybody. Talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to wwepodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.